Well, g'day guys. Welcome to Life in the Peloton, presented by MAP. Yep, it is gravel season. Things are kicking off here in Australia. Well, I just got back from my first gravel event of the spring, if you could call it that, because it is still winter, I guess. Well, of the new season anyway. It was Backroads Gravel over in Western Australia, up in the Midwest in Geraldton. A fantastic event, actually. I was there a couple of years ago when it was in its second edition. Fast forward now in their fourth edition, and they've clocked over 1,000 participants. It was rocking out there. The gravel was mint, the sun was shining, and in true Geraldton fashion, the wind was blowing right into my face the last 20k. Well, it was time to get the wheels dirty because the Dirty Docker is only 8 weeks away. Can you believe it? I can't, because there's so much to do. Well, last year was our first edition and we're already around for the second one. I'm so excited because I can see the entries rolling in every day. The places are filling up. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Dirty Docker is our very own sporting festival based out of my hometown, Lansfield, better known to the locals as LanVegas, where in the Dirty Docker, I've decided to include all the things that I love, kicking things off with an old school cross-country run, laps around an old school course I've designed, passing right through the event village each lap. There's water, there's sand. It's old school fun, so grab some runners and have a go. Then there's the no rules cyclocross, because I love cross, but realistically, who has a UCI spec cyclocross bike sitting at home? And that's what no rules means. Come on whatever bike you've got and give it a crack. Same as the cross-country run, it's a fun course, heaps of obstacles. You even jump through a big horseshoe and then you go right back through the event village each lap just to soak up that atmosphere. I've also added a beer mile this year. After all the beer hand-ups going on in those cross races, I thought, well, let's make it official and include a beer mile. But in true Dirty Docker style, we have tweaked it a bit and we've made it a bush beer mile. That's all happening Saturday night, so pitch a tent, glamping style, stay over. This is where the Dirty Docker becomes a festival vibe, with live music kicking off, fire pits, and everyone just kicking back, having a cold one, catching up. I wanted to bring that feeling of hanging out with friends, a chance to tell your story, let the kids run wild, and just enjoy a weekend away with mates. Wake up Sunday morning and it's gravel. One thing I've learned from my times in the gravel events the last few years is that gravel has no norm. And it can be whatever you want it to be. And I've embraced that theory and created a course with a mixture of lots of different aspects of gravel. Champagne pea gravel. I've got a bit of the loose sandy stuff, the hard pack stuff, the boggy stuff, the stuff that's going to make you single out. It's the best of the best out there. And I'd love to see you at this year's Dirty Docker, of course, and share a cold one with you as well. 11th, 12th of October, Lansfield, Victoria. Get in now, book yourself a spot. MAP is our major partner here at the podcast Life in the Peloton, and of course, they will be set up on course at the Fiesta Village at the Dirty Docker, rocking a DJ out of their tent, and they're going to be down at the water pit on the cross courses as well, bring all the fun as they always do. Well, guys, this episode is also being brought to you by Shocks, and I've been chatting to you about these guys all year, and if you really haven't gone across and checked them out, I think you're really missing out. Shocks are the world's leading ear open headphone pioneers. They are the most comfortable, safest headphones for cycling, exercising on the market right now. To quickly explain, if this is the first time you're hearing about them, well, instead of headphones resting inside your ear canals like normal headphones do, Shocks just sit in front of your ears on your cheekbones, allowing your ears to remain open to still be able to hear those ambient sounds around you, while the vibrations of the Shock headphones resting on your cheekbones allow you to absorb the sound in a much safer way. The Open Run 2 Pros are out now, their latest headphones, and what they've done, they've gone away, they've listened to feedback, and they've made some crucial improvements to both sound quality and the talkback microphone, allowing you to be able to use Shock headphones at a high quality hands-free device as well. It's great. I use them in all aspects of my life, running, riding, and just making calls while I'm driving along in the van. I'm really satisfied with the comfort, also the quality of the headphones, both the sound quality and the mic quality. If you want the most comfortable and safest headphones for cycling, running, or whatever you get up to, just like me, then get on board because we have an exclusive Life in the Peloton listeners only discount over at shokz.com.au. That's shokz.com.au. And all you need to do is punch in the code LITP to get your discount. That's LITP. Now, guys, seeing we've been chatting about gravel and the Dirty Docker being just around the corner, the gravel, the off-road season is kicking off both in the northern and the southern hemisphere right now. I thought it'd be fantastic to hear from a father-son combination, Richard and James Rothwell, who have been exploring the globe together on some of the hardest, longest bikepacking missions going. Richard is a bit of a legend himself when it comes to the ultra distance events because like back in the early days, he was doing the 24-hour mountain bike scene. Like remember that crazy scene before switching over to some longer distance, rugged bikepacking style ultra events. He even started lending his experience and joining up with a coaching platform to train some like-minded athletes as well. So he's well and truly experienced in the scene. And along the way, James was born, his son, who is now 14. And while I guess his old man was doing all this crazy stuff, it rubbed off on him a little bit because by the time James was age 11, they decided to tick off a 200-mile epic in their own backyard, the Lakeland 200. A huge experience, not only for someone to go out and do that on their own, or maybe do it with a mate, but to do it with your 11-year-old son? Yeah, I like this idea. A real adventure. Pack things up, put them on the bike, and let's go. Well, that first one sort of worked, I guess, for these guys because they've now continued to push the boundaries. They hit the Highland 550 a year later, 550 miles around very rugged, rough terrain, wind, rain, cold. It's a real tough one. And then last year, they went and did the Arizona Trail, 800 miles of heat, 30,000 meters of climbing, plus a 21-mile carry your bike over the Grand Canyon hike. Okay, so these guys, there's the adventure stuff, being out there in all these different environments, the elements you would face, then the physical stuff, of course, to be on these missions, but then the psychological stuff, pushing yourself day on day to get through. But really, why I want to chat to these guys is the idea of the father and the son sucking it all in together. The time that these guys have together. Being a father myself. Like, I want to know what this is all about. What it's like to be on the road with your old man. What it's like to see your son finding his new limits in life. Well, guys, here we go. Richard and his son, James Rothwell. All right, well, here we go. All right, boys, this is exciting. I was just explaining to you, I've never done this before. Well, I've definitely never done a father and son combination. I would like to welcome you guys to the podcast. Rich, James, great to have you on.
Yeah, thanks for inviting us.
Thanks for being here.
It's really exciting. Look, I have to admit, I've drawn a lot of correlations, not to the extreme of what you guys have been doing, but I've obviously, well, not obviously, sorry, but to the listeners, it is probably obviously. I've got a son who's 8 years old, and just really when I started hearing about what you guys were up to, it just really started to hit home for me, and I love the idea of it, doing things with my own son. So I guess we've got to go right back to the beginning, guys. And I know you've probably told this story a lot of times, but I'll start with you, Rich. What's your history in bikes? I know you've done a little bit of riding. That's understating it. But tell us a little bit about your story. Very quickly, if you can, wrap it up in a nutshell.
I guess I'm going to make myself sound very old here, but when mountain bikes first appeared, it just really caught my imagination. I think it was kind of viewed as, it's just another one of those American fads and it'll come and go. I just love the idea of being able to go out and explore on a bike. And that was the thing that got me, and mountain bikes were the first vehicle that did that. I got a specialized rock hopper and just went out basically seeing what was around the next corner. And that got me hooked, and I did loads and loads and loads of riding like that. I don't suppose people even kind of thought about it as a thing, as a sport. And I never thought about racing. And then I went overseas for quite a few years. I was in Australia, surfing a lot, and then came back and worked in Turkey and Greece, out on the mountain bike, never thought about racing. Came back, and like my friends who had kind of normal 9-to-5s were like, so you're doing like 30-hour weeks every week then? It's like, yeah, that's what we're supposed to do. And I got pretty strong climbing and decided I'm going to enter my first race. I did a 10-hour lapped endurance race, and I think I ended about 6th or 7th, something like that. And I was like, you know what, I might have a proper go at this. And started entering mountain bike marathons, which sadly never really took off in the UK. I think due to the terrain, and I love that. And I really kind of focused on that, and I did the national championships a few times. And in the meanwhile, did 24-hour racing, which was a big scene here. Obviously, that died off now. It's been replaced by the gravel, the endurance, the bikepacking stuff. And slipped down the ultra-distance slippery slope, and here I am at the bottom of it.
Well, what I find quite unique is this. Well, now I'm jumping way ahead and sort of skipping what you just said. But this unique situation here I've got is that I'm just noticing it here, James. You're here with your dad, and you've heard that story numerous times, I can imagine. It's exciting for me to hear that. But sitting here doing like media commitments together and doing stuff together, what's this like? What's this dynamic like? Because I can see you sitting there going, here we go, Dad's telling his old cycling story again, he's tweaked it that way, he's tweaked it this way. What is it like sitting here and doing something like this, a podcast with your old man?
I think it makes it a bit easier, to be fair. Interesting. I mean, get to hear his perspective, but hear that a lot anyway, so it makes it easier for me because I can have like a backup, I suppose, when I'm talking.
I'm not steamrolling over him, but can I just say here that James has grown up in an environment with me and my friends and peers and that whole scene where he thinks this behaviour is normal. So it kind of goes over his head a little bit sometimes, I think. I have to keep saying, step back a little bit and look at what we've grown up doing, and it isn't that normal. Like it is amongst us lot because we all know this, but outside,
I got like 30 people in school ask about my podcast. I had to watch it.
That's good.
Well, that's good.
It's friends play football or computer games, or go to clubs.
A couple of my friends, right?
Yeah, no, there's a few of your friends, and I think you've inspired them a lot to get into it, haven't you? Which is great.
Well, talk to me about endurance bikepacking, and you mentioned it there. It was something that you're attracted to in the beginning anyway. You just loved riding your bike, Rich, I'm talking about. You love riding your bike. It wasn't about racing, but eventually you got into racing and you love that side of things. But it seems like bikepacking was the combination of two. It was a bit of bike racing, but it was actually spending a long time on the bike. Is that sort of what it attracted to you, or was it the adventure side of things? What was it about bikepacking?
I was just always drawn to long rides, and I like long rides in kind of wild environments, like controlled, confined race courses. Never really got my imagination. Like when I don't know if you're familiar with the area, but you've got the Lake District in the northwest of England, and it's kind of like, I suppose you'd describe it as a mini alpine environment, and it's rough, it's rocky, and it's steep, and the weather's bad, and you come home from rides just going, oh, I'm glad I got out of that type thing, and I love that. I love that kind of, and back then it was kind of like football shorts and a sweatshirt and a rigid hardtail. That's all I had. And I kind of loved being in that situation, and I still do. My favourite rides, my favourite races have been ones where you get home and you just go, oh, and I got home. And yeah, the bikepacking scene has kind of made that accessible to a lot of people. And I'm naturally drawn to those events and those rides and those routes and races where it's like it's a little bit on the edge, and I think James enjoys that as well. Would you say?
Yeah, I enjoy like the bigger stuff a lot more. It's a lot better. It's a lot like more exciting to think about doing.
The longer stuff, you mean? Yeah, right.
Yeah, and like bigger places.
Ah, the bigger places in terms of like the bigger name races, or you mean like the locations?
Like the terrain.
Yeah,
Like
right.
more exposed, more weather, if you know what I mean.
So do you think if you can remember back, and it's a question, what can you remember back? How far can you remember? Because look, I'm talking about to you, James, now. When I think back, and I wonder whether it's because I can see the photos and I remember them, or I physically can remember that moment. I don't know where the difference is there, you know. What about yourself? You think back to when you first started riding even, or into bikes. Your dad was probably going around doing crazy missions. He was doing these ultra packing races. What can you remember about your entry into cycling? Was it dad just sort of forcing you onto a bike? Come on, mate, you got to come and have and do this with me, or was it? What can you remember about it?
I remember being just released down this like 20% road, and I remember just flying down and like him like grabbing my back, pacing me so I didn't crash.
Bit of context on that. We went down to the Yorkshire Dales, which is another kind of hilly area in the north of England, and he was on his balance bike, and we went over. Is it the Leyburn climb or the Barn? Anyway, it's in the Tour de France when they did the Tour de France stage here, and he kind of scooted and ran and pushed up this massive like 10-15% climb, and we turned around and came back down, and it was a little bit like, have you seen the Scottish curling? Where they kind of throw the stone and they kind of time it and grab the back of it was like that. I was like, release, grab, he's going too fast. Yeah, it was great fun. I mean, my wife wasn't so keen on that, but it was a good weekend.
Well, why did you start tripping together, and when did this whole idea start coming about? Because, and James, maybe you can tell me the story about, you saw Dad going out on these rides, and maybe you were starting to get into it a little bit yourself. But when did the whole idea about doing some trips together? We're not talking about racing per se, or maybe it was a race, the first one. Tell me about the beginning of riding together overnight.
I think the first thing we ever did was at some shoeing huts near us. Just rode like 3 miles. I slept there. I can't remember. I was quite young though, wasn't I?
Probably about 5 or 6, I think.
Yeah. I slept there and then got a pizza. I remember that fondly.
Nice.
And then woke up and rode back down. I think that was the first ever one I did. And then we went out with some other people, like once a year.
Yeah. It was with Altura, who make bikepacking bags and clothes, and they had their yearly kind of staff get together, and we rode from a place called Kielder out to a bothy, like a refuge, and it was kind of, what was it, about
10 miles?
10 miles each way, and it was like -8, and and they were all like, oh, we'll look after him, and he's like smashing them on the descent. That was good. That was good fun. The bothy network that we've got in the UK, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's like kind of managed refuges. And they were some of our first trips, like, really good. You just get some food, ride out, take the sleeping bag, go out there, have a fire, ride back. They're just brilliant for getting into doing that kind of thing.
And was it an idea from both of you that, this can be something great that we can do together in the beginning, or was it all about the bike? It was all just things just started happening, or there was a plan to it, I guess? Maybe it's a question for you, Rich. Was there a plan when this started happening, you thought, this could actually be a great chance for me, to get James out there, to spend time together, but also just to get out into nature, whether we see it with a lot of guys and mums and dads taking their kids out camping and hiking, just to get out there and learn some skills. Did you think of it like that, or it just sort of naturally birthed itself?
I think it was just like a natural thing, in the...
I just kept on wanting to do bigger things, to be fair.
Yeah. I mean, that thing, obviously spending quality time together is really important. And... yeah, just it's like what I did, and I'm very, absolutely convinced that children end up doing what their parents do, and me heading out on like another 6-hour ride on my own just doesn't seem right when you've got a child who's interested, and I wouldn't want that. I'm not saying that I gave up a lot of my training time because I didn't. I saw it as this is what I do, and I loved that. And yeah, I mean, there was a lot of kind of patience as any parent's going to have, and, kind of going out for 10-hour ride, a 10-mile ride that takes all day. I never had that feeling of like, oh, I wish I was out doing my thing. And it's an investment in James, trying to get him interested and get him involved. And it's really kind of paid off because, you know, James is super fit. He's a great bike rider. And now we're doing stuff that, you know, if I had done the kind of, oh, I'm just going out training, we wouldn't be able to do, you know, like some of the really big stuff that we've done. And now I'm going to get dropped. Well, I am getting dropped on the descents. So that's annoying. But the point is we can now go out and do really good things together. You know, it's no longer just like kid rides anymore. It's like we're going to take on some big things here. And I love that.
Well, let's get into one of those early missions, and one that I could find was the Lakeland 200, and from what I can understand, was your first mission, your first big one. I'm assuming there was, like you said, a few overnighters before that, but correct me if I'm wrong. Tell me about that first big mission that you guys built up for, and what that was all about.
We did it over 3 days. It's a 120-mile route around the Lake District. Mountain range in England. We did that over 3 days, staying at my granddad's house, who lives like
Keswick.
Yeah, Keswick.
30 miles in, I think it was.
Yeah. And then the next bit was 60 miles to Staveley, staying at friend's house. That was the first big one.
Yeah. I think that the thing with that route is
it was really slow going. It was really hard.
It's extremely slow. You've got huge sections of hiker bike, and it's just big blocks of rock. And you've got a sequence of 3 in a row where you're virtually not riding.
For me, being quite small, that was quite hard to get any strength. Do that.
But it's notorious. I mean, the kind of the secret's out there now. You get people turning up to do it, and they go, "Oh, it's only 120 miles," and it's like, you have to stay on a bike if you want to, on some really, really steep stuff, and really committing. And the weather's often a big factor, and it was when we did it over the 3 days.
And then we tried it again in one go.
Yeah, we tried it again once and got 17 hours in, and he was flying. There was no risk of him physically not being able to do it, except we got hit by really bad weather. There was thunderstorms, and we were up high and there was lightning. It was a bit intense. Then we got very, very wet, and it was going into the night. And he'd never ridden right the way through a night before. So the sensible,
really good idea.
Yeah, the sensible pairing kicked in, and we bailed and went to my dad's house, which was in the right place. We recently completed it in one go.
You completed it in one go? Wow, already?
That was how long ago? It was only about two or 3 months ago, yeah.
Wow.
I think we got 26 hours on it.
26, 27 hours, I think. But on the board for completion, that they classify as the completion is under 40 hours, which gives you an idea of it.
How tough
it doesn't sound very far, but it's extremely challenging route.
It sounds like you could do it as an ultra marathon at the same speed.
Well, it's been used as a, you know, we're not supposed to race on public land here, but it has been used as a race before, or an event, shall we say?
Right.
And a lot of people stay out overnight. You know, it's an awkward distance and duration. You know, it's like you're going to go into sleep deprivation. Like even the fastest people. I mean, the FKT, I think, is only 15 or 16 hours. Yeah, and these are proper fast guys. Like, it goes to show, you know, the average speed is on the floor. It's really slow.
I love that you picked this one, or who picked this one for the first real mission? Whose idea was this?
I think it was me.
I can't. I think that's the thing when I've done some of these things.
I saw you doing it with his friend, and I thought I want to do that. So
and the technical side appealed to you as well, didn't it?
So I like mountain biking a lot. So that route is just mountain biking. So it made sense at the time.
It's also some of these events some of these routes, that I know them really well. And obviously I've got to be a sensible parent to a degree. And, you know, I've got to know where the bailout points are. I've got to know where the resupplies are. I've got to know where you can get water. You know, that's kind of defined a lot of the things we've done up until we did Arizona Trail, which was a different kettle of fish entirely.
and now I'm glad you said it a couple of times, a sensible parent. And I wonder when you're on that first, I call them missions or adventures, whatever you want to call them, challenges, the first one there, the really tough one, the sensible parent, when was that kicking in? Was that sort of like, wow, this is really interesting? And that sort of continual juggle between, okay, this is really good for both of us, this adventure, we're having a great time, we like to push it. And then sometimes I'm assuming it's tipping in the other way. Early days, when did it tip in the other way and you're thinking, I don't know what we're doing out here. I've pushed it too far, and obviously it'll come back. And tell me about that initial beginning, and we're just getting used to that idea of, James, you're 11 years old when you did this one. Just gives everyone a bit of perspective about your age and how incredible that mission really was.
It didn't seem that outside of an idea to me because I'd been riding for so long. Like, just felt quite normal to hear about it because that's the only real form I knew. Mm. My dad said so much about it. He'd done it so much, so I thought it seems simple enough. I just ride my bike.
I think what one thing that's worth putting into the equation here is James's technical bike handling is off the charts. Like, I'm not being a gushing father here. I've been around enough good mountain bikers. He's extremely gifted technically. And on all these big challenges we've done, he's ridden stuff on a cross-country hardtail that I see a lot of adults struggle with on an enduro bike. And I mean, we're talking full, absolute commitment down really steep, rocky stuff that you just cannot, once you go in type stuff. That's a big factor in. And then he's also very good at recognizing when can't do something, which isn't very often now, or shouldn't do something. And
road gap in Tenerife.
30-foot road gaps and all kinds of stuff. But on the first Lakeland 200, which I was really pleased to see, we had one big final descent before the finish, and it's steep, it's rocky, it's not man-made, it's just jaggedy, natural stuff. And even though he's ridden this section before, we got to a point and he was like, I think I'm just going to walk this bit. And I was pleased to hear that. There's no bravado. It may sound like there is, but there actually isn't any bravado at all. It's quite calculated, even from a young age, which I think is quite unique. So that's really helped. I mean, it doesn't change the fact that sometimes when we've been in the middle of nowhere on something that's like, don't fall off here, the adrenaline is going a bit, but I trust him. So, yeah.
How do you keep sort of yourself in check without putting too much pressure on it? When you got James into riding and he was coming and following in these missions and these adventures, I guess when you're out there and just sort of keeping, like you said, that level, and he was recognizing it, I shouldn't ride down that. But sometimes naturally you want to, we should do this. And just, you got to keep reminding yourself, I guess, of his age and not putting too much pressure on him. Tell me about that.
I don't know. It's a strange thing. Like, I'm a coach, and one thing I'd say I have got a good eye for is I know when I can see the components that go together to make a move possible. I know I can work out if somebody's got the body position. I can work out if somebody's got the braking points. I can work out if somebody is in their head assessing what's in front of them. And I've always had extreme confidence in James on that aspect. So that it's not actually been as hard as it sounds. I would say that the bit where, I mean, James is learning a lot, obviously, through all of this, but the bit where I have had to pull him back was when we did the Highland Trail 550. Like, he'd not been in that kind of environment before that was really, really exposed, and you've got a day or two until a resupply point, for example. And even to the point of you don't know where the next place is, because obviously the ground in the Highlands of Scotland is very rough, very wet. You don't know where the next point is that you can even pitch a tent. So we got to one point on one of the days there, and it was going into a big glen with a huge, big hiker bike section, notorious, rough ground, wet, marshy, boggy, and there was a storm coming in, and it was 4 p.m. So we still had plenty of time still to ride. And James was like, no, come on, we've got more hours in the day. Let's go. And I was like, no, we don't go past this point, because I know that beyond this point, you might even be lucky to be able to get a tent on the ground. And it went cold, and I knew there was weather front coming in, and I was like, we've just got to get the tent down, now. And just as we're getting the tent out, all hell broke loose with the weather. We got on the tent, I was like, that's why. If we'd carried on at that valley, that wouldn't have been good. So, but I understand that, it's like you hadn't been in those environments that are like, stick or twist type situation. And that comes with experience, obviously.
Is that hard? Like, is that hard for yourself? Because look, you've done a whole lot of adventure bike packing, racing, and you've been around Highland half a dozen times yourself, and you've been across the US, done the Colorado Trail. So you've done like some serious bike packing racing yourself. And you know your own limits, and you know how to push yourself and go to that limit. Was it hard scaling it back and not just getting involved with the enthusiasm of James going, let's go, Dad? Because that's sort of what you want when you're doing it yourself. You're like, yeah, all right. Well, if he's up for it, let's do it. And you had to go, hang on a second here. I need to scale it back. Was that hard in the moment?
Not really, because I've been on the wrong end of that myself. And it's like, I'd say that's where the sensible parenting kicked in. It's like
wouldn't want me to get a bad experience of doing that. Like, wouldn't want me to get bad ideas about doing stuff like that.
Yeah, well, I don't want to end up like in serious trouble or worse. I mean that's the main thing. My wife would kill me.
Yeah.
So, I was a little bit cautious, but then I had to try and find out where his limit was, and it turns out it's in terms of duration and ability to deal with discomfort. Very, very high, which is interesting. Like when we did Arizona Trail Race, when we've done Leighton 2, when we've done like all-nighters, it's like, can he actually do this? Is he going to... I mean, most of the time people fall apart physically and mentally when it comes to doing that sort of thing. It's the mind that goes first, but never. I mean, like, when you've done 27-hour shift, when we did the lakes, like the sleep deprivation was a factor, and I knew that was a factor, and it did impact on him. But
it felt pretty rough.
but I guess I'm putting those learning myself. It's a experience for me. Like having a child who can do these things. It's like I'm trying to find out where the limits are as well. It's an ongoing process. But in terms of dealing with physical discomfort, he's a freak. He really is. Like if he decides to carry on down this kind of ultra road, there won't be many people that I've come across who is mentally hard and physically tough. It's a gift.
Well, this is a great segue because just like these two boys, I love packing up my bike and going on a destination bikepacking trip. And the last couple of years, I've actually packed my bike up and ridden across to the Tour Down Under. I love getting across to Adelaide to soak up not only what the race has to offer, but what the whole of Adelaide brings come January when the TDU is on. The race this year is chalked up as an edition not to miss. Race director Stuart O'Grady has gone away, he's looked at the courses, and he has come back with a good one. One that's going to make some pretty special watching for us. The men's race is kicking off with an inner city prologue. Just roll into the city, grab a beer, and watch every rider whiz past. A great chance to get your head around the new riders of the 2026 Peloton as they go past one by one. They're going twice up the corkscrew. Brutal, but brilliant. Head up there in the morning, get your spot on the hill, and watch them suffer up there 2 times. Beautiful. Then Wollonga 3 times. How good's this? Park up again and enjoy. And the best of all, the circuits around Stirling to finish. There's going to be fireworks for sure. So glad I'm not doing this one because this one is going to hurt. But watching, yeah, I'm loving this, Stewie. The women's as well has been spiced right up too, with the longest edition ever of Tour Down Under. And they're going to be going up the corkscrew twice as well. Heavy. Look, the racing is what we're there for, and yeah, for sure, it is going to deliver, but it's the full package in Adelaide for the TDU. The city turns it on, the winery's up in the hill, there's stuff going on everywhere you turn. I know people that go there religiously every year because they know they can get a ride in with the bunchies in the morning, watch the race in the afternoon, and enjoy what Adelaide has to offer in the evenings all week long. I'll be there, soaking it up this year, and I hope I'm going to run into you over there. Now, one of the things I have in common with Rich and James is that I've got a son and we go riding together too. But it's also that we love to use Restrap. For those of you who don't know, Restrap specialises in making technical cycling luggage and accessories for all kinds of riding and bikepacking. Think of the kinds of products that's going to allow you to ride further and adventure harder. From bikepacking bags to hydration vests, the vast majority of their products are all handmade in a factory in the UK, and best of all, they're available globally. Now, for Restrap, having riders like Rich and James and myself on their roster is hugely important, because it's the riders with a huge amount of experience, or the ones who are putting their prototypes through the hardest possible environments and giving that feedback, which has made Restrap become renowned for their durable technical gear throughout the world and the industry. And look, it's a big thanks to the guys like Richard and James and the many others out there running their products through real test scenarios to make sure the product testing is done long before the customer sees that final version. It's really the reason that Restrap are able to offer a lifetime warranty on all their luggage. How good is that? Check them out, restrap.com. You're just going to love their stuff. They're going to be on the ground at this year's Dirty Docker, so you better come and see their products for yourself. That's restrap.com, restrap.com. Let's get back to the boys. James, tell me about what it's like being out there, because you're out there, I think, 12 days going around the Highland Trail, and how long did it take you to get around the Arizona Trail? So 18 days or something like that. So you're out there a long time with your old man. What's going on out there? What are you talking to him about? What's the vibe like out there?
Nothing much, to be honest. trying to make games.
Yeah.
That helps. On the Highland Trail, I played Guess Who. Later ask clues and you say yes or no about a person, see if they could guess the person.
Cool.
It got really obscure as I ran out of ideas. Pablo Escobar was one, I think.
That entertained us for 2 days, and then got shouted at each other for recommending it.
Then I lost the plot with that, I'm afraid. I think that's all part of the experience. It's like when people like the whole ultra distance and bikepacking thing has been very glamorized in the media, and it's like all the photos from the big events and the big routes there, they just look so awesome, and people go, oh, that just looks amazing, it's so cool, and it's like, yeah, but the reality is,
you're not thinking about the views at that point. You're just looking down.
Yeah, the reality is hours of discomfort or hours of even boredom at points, going through a night when you don't actually, you do. I love the night. You see loads in the night. That was perhaps a bad example, but you know what I mean? It's like anybody's done a really long distance one, it's like mentally that thing of just going on and on and on. It, I think, is really interesting and, a really important part of it. And, I love that kind of the challenge of keeping yourself engaged. And I think, we did a really good, despite it, what you just said, I think we did a really good job in Arizona, particularly with that, but there was a lot to talk about, it was such a unique environment for both of us, and
topics came up multiple times though.
Yeah, I mean, spending 17 days literally
with the same person,
living in each other's pockets it's quite an unusual thing, really. I mean, we don't tend to do that very much in normal life, do we? But I like that. It's we both had our highs and lows. Like, sometimes I lost the plot, sometimes he lost the plot, and you've got to talk each other out of it or distract each other or whatever it might be.
I think it makes it easier in some ways because you've got something to take your mind off what you're actually doing.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. You said you wouldn't have wanted to do Arizona Trail on your own.
I mean, 17 days by yourself, I think you'd go mad. It's a lot of your own thoughts.
Yeah, no, but I mean, if you ever did do it again, you would be doing it when you're
in 17 days.
Yeah, you wouldn't. You'd be,
hopefully faster,
going a lot faster than that when you get to that stage. If you want to do that, obviously.
What are the little annoyances that you've noticed out there that you're like, oh, Dad, what does he do out there? Or James, what are the things that you guys? Everyone's got those things, and you at the time, now putting it out there, it doesn't seem that annoying, but in the moment, it's the squeaky pedal. It's the way they ride. They're always half feeling you, or. What are those things? Take us into the moment.
I don't know. Me trying to get you to play games.
Yeah, I guess who drove me insane? That was for sure. I don't know.
No, it's pretty good.
We don't really get annoyed with each other, no. From my own point of view,
Hogging food's a bit annoying.
Hogging food coming from you. No, you were very good with that. It was like, I had a jar of peanut butter to get us through the next 48 hours, and it was like 1 spoon for you, 1 spoon for me. And there was never any arguments over that. So that. I mean, that kind of thing can get to you when you're with somebody for a long period like that, and you're very hungry and very tired. But we never had any problems like that. I mean, I found the odd time that I would just get like
snappy,
a bit snappy. But I think that's like, I think it's justifiable in some ways, because the constant like looking after another human. Like in a really hostile.
Myself, kind of.
Yeah, you did, but I mean, I was still having to make not all the decisions, but a lot of the decisions, and that was quite mentally challenging after that period of time. And then you're riding, and like I remember the day when we went past the Grand Canyon and we were riding along the road, and it was like -8, snowing.
Yeah, I had to keep on pushing him to just for 5 miles to get to the place to sleep.
Yeah, I was. My mind was wandering a bit there, and I was getting
asking to get muffins.
Can't remember that.
What about the development, like on both sides, like and the growing up and watching your son develop and grow up and get all this life experience from being out on the road and personal and physical experience? But I guess I can throw it back also at you, James, and I want to hear from both of you that seeing your dad in those moments, I think it can be quite good to see that your dad is not always indestructible, and he's got his points too, where you can, like you just said there, you've got to chip in, and it's a team atmosphere, whether it's keeping the vibe up, whether it's physically doing something, and that development together, you really get to know each other. I love that part of it.
I think it creates a stronger relationship between us. I mean, I don't see any of my friends' parents do stuff like that as a kid. I think it shows in the relationship as well, because I think I have a very good relationship with my dad for that, and I think that's partly due because of that. Well, a lot of it is.
Yeah,
agree?
Yeah, no, 100%. I think one of the things I particularly enjoyed about it is it's like, this is something I didn't see coming. Is it's that like how much of a percentage? It started off with I made 100% of the decisions. And then it's like 10%. James makes a decision.
Not a bad decision.
Take it out. And you learn by refining your choices, don't you? And then eventually, like I would say, we're getting more on par. Like in Arizona, it's very much like kind of what we're going to do. Whereas previously, we did end up in some of those situations. Whereas previously, it was kind of like, we are going to do this.
Yeah.
Whereas that, I mean, there was only so much research I could do before we went, and ended up in situations where I was like, what the heck? Like, what are we going to do here? I think the facade of like my dad's in control started to fall a bit, and it was literally, we were just sitting there just going like, what we're going to do here? Any ideas? I'm out with ideas here. And I've that was a surprise that it was going to go that way, and I really enjoyed that. I mean, the one that really sticks in my mind on that was when we did the Highland Trail together, and I picked up a bit of a virus, and the last third I felt quite unwell, and we stopped at Fort Augustus, which is
I remember that.
Yeah, it's only kind of
70 miles,
about 70 miles from the finish, and I felt terrible, and it was hammering it down with rain. It was cold.
It was freezing.
Yeah, it was like hypothermia conditions, and there was a garage, and we just sat, and I was just slumped in the garage, like
I was freezing,
eating some junk food, and I was like,
I was taking long routes around to food because I was too cold for the freezer aisle.
so I went. I just sat there, and I was like, I think we're gonna have to pitch up early. Like I just feel terrible.
Yeah.
And James was like, no, we've got to go.
Wow.
As far as we can today, because if we don't, because we had a cut off of 12 days to get home, and it would got that far, and I was like, I just want to lie down and go to sleep. And then James was like, no, I mean, he literally pushed me out of the garage forecourt, and we just pushed down the lock towards Fort William, and basically it was cold and wet, and we just
And we didn't even realise, but there was a diversion, so it wasn't the easy 30 miles that we thought it would be.
Yeah, it was harder than we thought, and got down to a lock, and it was like, right, we've got as far as we can today. I mean, I couldn't go on. I felt grim, and in retrospect, him pushing me out was the thing that made us complete it, because from there back, it is really hard section. You know, beyond Fort William back to Timbram is really hard. It's very slow going, and we still got back at like
1.
Yeah, 1 in the morning. So if he hadn't like made that choice to stop whinging, get out the door, we might not finish it in the time we had. That stuck out to me as a point of like, you know, he's making good decisions now, even if I didn't feel like that at the time.
What does Mum say about all this? You know, when you're coming back, or even, you know, when you're coming back from something like this, and it's just like, well, she sees the growth or the relationship, or what about before you go, even the idea of doing this?
Really have to persuade us and let us do things.
Well, it's got easier. Like,
Mum was very panicked, wasn't she?
She was more panicked for Highland Trail.
Getting bit by a rattlesnake.
Yeah. I mean, you rode over one, but it didn't bite you. So that was all right. But like, she was much calmer with Arizona. And I'm not knocking her in any shape or form here. I totally understand.
I think that's because she sees solid development from the Highland Trail.
Which has heard all the horror stories from the ones I've done. But with the Highland Trail, it was about 3 weeks before, and she really did have a bit of a meltdown over it. It's like, it's irresponsible what you do. I've heard how bad it can be out there, and you know what you're doing, taking an 11-year-old into that situation, and blah blah blah. And she's like, "What happens if?
Yeah.
What happens if?" I was like, honestly, I've spent the last 6 months staring at the ceiling during the night, wondering what happens if something happens at that point. What happens here? What happens there? What's the bailout from here? And I absolutely had that completely under control, like completely. We had a winter tent, we had winter sleeping bags, we had an emergency shelter, we had everything, you know, primal off jackets, trousers, waterproof spare gloves, like everything. And we needed it. But it was never a moment where, I mean, we had one dodgy moment in torrential rain in a very exposed bit. That was a bit close to the bone. But other than that, it all went really, really smoothly. And I never felt like I'm on the edge here. And, you know, in terms of responsibility with James, but like, say, Arizona was just like, if she could have seen some of the scenes then, it was just like, we've got no food and I don't know where there is any. And we're in the middle of the desert. Like, don't know. What are you thinking? So, yeah.
Laugh about it. Now, what about the naysayers out there? And I'm sure you've met some people around the community or wherever it is, or maybe it is over the internet, that maybe, you know, I've reached out or just said, hey, what are you doing? You know, you should be doing that with your son. Or what's it been like? Are people supportive, or are some people a bit skeptical?
But very supportive. I've been actually quite surprised by that. I know there was another father and son duo who have done some stuff like this. And I know that they did get a bit of that, you know, quite intense and, you know, very pointy finger.
Yeah.
I haven't heard I'd never got anything like that. I mean, I think I got one comment from somebody saying, you know, do you think this is a good idea? You know, but it wasn't. I didn't get any of the you're an irresponsible, reckless parent. I think. I mean, I'm not blowing my own trumpet here, but in the way that James has trusted me with taking him out into these environments, because I've done a lot of it myself. Maybe my friends and my peers recognise that I'm not a reckless person. You know, I'm not foolish, and I know things can go wrong. You know, things can go wrong anywhere, anytime, can't they? You know, people have accidents in the stupidest situations close to home. So, yeah, I think I had a bit of trust there amongst people. I mean, obviously, yeah, my wife never thought I was being reckless, but she was as understandably nervous.
Uncertain on some of it.
Uncertain is a word. Yeah.
Had to be persuaded.
Yeah.
What do your friends think, James? And what do they think? You're a bit crazy doing that? And can they get their head around it?
I don't think they can really understand it. I don't think anyone really could understand unless they've done things like that. Quite a hard thing to get, I think. My friends think it's like crazy. And they said like, I rode from Mexico to Utah in my October break. They're just like, what? They seem just surprised. Like, a lot of them ask why you do it, but can't really explain why you would do it unless you've done something like that.
Yeah.
My friends think it's unusual, I suppose.
Yeah, but he has inspired some of his friends big time. You know, on the long distance stuff, one of his good friends, Edward, he's got into it. I run an event in Northumberland at the end of August, and I would say it was a kind of not an intro to ultra, but because it's hard, but it's like 320 miles. You know, you're never massively isolated. You know, there's some rough ground out there, and it is pretty exposed at places. But I run that at the end of August, and James is doing it this year, and it's going to be his first completely solo attempt.
Wow.
And his friend Edward, he did it last year with his dad. He's coming back, and and his friends are watching him doing these things, and they're interested in it. And I like that because I think that, you know, with the right kind of guidance and experience, you know, kids can do these things. You know, it's perfectly feasible. I mean, he's got to scrub up on his mechanics, mind. That's the only thing that worries.
Not that bad.
Tell me about the tech, actually. Why you brought it up, and you mentioned it before, because how do you do that when you're out there together? How do you split the gear? Are you carrying more of a load, Rich, or is it, you know what about in terms of the specifics, you know, because you, James, might want something different to your dad, or is it actually logistical? You know, you go, no, I'm going to take this, you take that, because we both need one of those. Let's not take the same thing. How does all the gear work and when you're going on these trips?
I think we're carrying equal in Arizona. I think I had a heavier bike for the Grand Canyon though.
Right.
No, because remember it was a lot more uncomfortable.
Well, I mean, it was uncomfortable. I don't know, it was so much heavier, but I think that the thing there was, I mean, it's never going to be comfortable carrying a bike through the Grand Canyon. This was a big argument.
I was complaining the whole way.
Yeah, well, I don't blame you. Well, when we did Highland Trail, obviously I was carrying the lion's share of stuff because he was that much younger. But when we started talking about doing Arizona,
we just had to make it clear that it was even.
Oh yeah,
for both of us, it was a hard challenge, I think.
Yeah, it had to be equal. You know, there's only so much you can put on your back. You know, I couldn't carry everything.
Couldn't carry like another 2 bags I was supposed to carry. Somehow. Yeah.
So, I mean, again, that was just like a natural kind of progression, and he started doing more like, he's carrying his food, he's carrying his water, whereas previously I've been more like taking more of the weight.
More like a camel.
Yeah, like 8 litres of water, and I can't carry 16 litres of water. It's impossible. So,
you got to be bloody strong to do that too. Well, what about looking ahead in terms of you're a coach yourself, Rich? So you got an idea about physiology. I'm assuming you do. What about what James is doing as a young boy doing these kind of miles? Look, we're in the World Tour now. We're seeing the guys. They're young athletes. They're racing at the very top, very young, but they're petering out pretty early after that because of the level that they're racing at. Ultras are a bit of a different kettle of fish, I think. You get better as you get more Ks in your legs. And, you know, for instance, if James wants to pursue a year in a career in ultras, just say 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now, what's he going to be doing? And what's your idea on what this is doing to his body as he's, you know, growing up?
Well, this is a fascinating area for me because as a coach, like, it's an experiment of one. You know, I've never met one of these before. And
like an animal.
He actually doesn't ride his bike that much, which okay. I find, well, you do, but the interesting thing for me is mindset.
Yeah.
He's got a mindset, and that's so important. I mean, I've seen people with big numbers before, but they fold. You know, they just they haven't got it up here, and he's got that. Also, he does a lot of technical trail riding and enduro-y style stuff, and wants to race downhill as well. Maybe there's something in he does a lot of that kind of riding. You know, it's not big miles by any stretch. But, you know, it's like push-up, you know, downhill push-ups and like really physically intense efforts. And seems to be off the back of that and going to the gym. He goes to the gym a lot, kickboxing, plays rugby. It's just like a BMX. It's just a mix-up of loads and loads of different stuff. Somehow when he hasn't done a ride of any duration for any time. You can go out. We did a gravel event up in Scotland like 6 weeks ago. He hadn't done any real pedaling, none of the aerobic base stuff that we talk about, and banged out 112 miles in like 8 hours. It's for me as a coach, I find it fascinating. It's like you were doing it wrong, or he's a physical freak, which I'm starting to think he is, because I don't know many people. I mean, I coach people who get interested in ultra and want to do ultras, and they put a lot of hours in, and the ultra may be like a 2-day, 3-day thing, and they just they peter out. They just can't ride for a long time. But he's going to do my event. I mean, we're going to the Pyrenees next Wednesday for a couple of weeks, so we're going to do a lot of riding there. But I know he's going to again prove me wrong. I'm like, come on, let's go and do some pedaling, like something longer. And then I know he's going to go out and ride 320 miles virtually non-stop, and I don't know how. It's weird. I don't push him. I don't push him at all. I do see the pushy parents in sport, and I was never, ever wanting to be that guy, ever. It's like, do you want to ride? Yeah. Do you want to ride? No. Fine. Do something else. And I don't want to be that person at all. I mean, I'm thinking that he is a bit of a genetic and a bit of an anomaly, because I've never seen anybody who can do so little like aerobic base work and then go out and ride 200 miles. It's a bit unusual.
What do you think about that, James? Hearing that, and put it in perspective. Maybe you're going out secretly at night doing all this training your dad doesn't know about, and you're like, Dad won't know about this. Let's freak him out. Tell me what you're thinking out there, because I haven't never done anything as extreme as you guys, but adventured into some kind of ultra stuff and understand that it is a lot mental. And I'm a bit of a nutcase and give up pretty quickly, but I know that it is, very much that. You can be as strong as you want, but once your head rolls off, it's all over. So have you clued into any of that, or are you just doing, and what are you feeling about this whole riding thing, looking now and into the future?
I just want to be able to carry on riding as long as I can, really, and do as much as I can. I'd love to go pro. I mean, that'd be great, if I could do that. But I'd hope so.
As in like professional road racing, or you mean like as in do this as a profession?
Doing this as a profession, I think that's what I'm best at, probably.
Yeah, cool.
But people say about the mental thing, I just don't really think of quitting, because I'm probably not going to do it again. And whenever I've
it's only in the context of a big thing like Arizona, you mean?
Yeah. I'd never be able to go back and do Arizona at 13 again. So I just wouldn't want to quit that. I just never thought of quitting.
Are there moments where, for instance, Rich, or, vice versa, but maybe James, you are asked that question, I don't want to go anymore. I've had enough. I'm over it. Maybe even really get emotional. I'm assuming there are points. Rich, what are you? No, there's not.
And Grand Canyon, but I mean,
I collapsed like half a kilometer from the end because I couldn't keep on walking.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then I just had to pick myself up and carry on going another 500 meters.
There's never that self sort of negative talk like, Dad, I don't want to do this anymore.
Never once. Like,
wow.
Even after going for like a week, 10 days like that, I have to keep like kind of, testing the thermometer a bit. And asking him these questions.
I was like a bit irritated.
Basically, if I'd say to him like, "Oh, are you sure you want to carry on?" He'd just go, "Shut up, like, get on with it. You're wasting oxygen." Like, I mean, it's literally that's the attitude that I get back. So there's no kind of,
because my opinion is I would tell my dad if I wanted to quit. I wouldn't like, if he asked, "Do you want to quit?" I wouldn't just say, "Oh yeah."
I was thinking of that.
Yeah. Finally, someone said it. Yeah.
Also, James is, like I say, his technical skills amazing. He's won local downhill races, even won the overall, like against the adults, and his technical trail riding, and like he wants to do more racing of that nature, which is great. Want him to do that, but in my head, and this isn't being a pushy parent, it's like a bit of a kind of a parent dream, I suppose. I see his endurance ability, and then I see his technical trail riding skill, and I see things like Highland Trail, Colorado Trail, where they're mountain bikers races. And I'm just thinking, you could win that. Just, the combination of technical ability and endurance over that kind of terrain. I mean, yeah, he could be extremely fast over those routes, which I would love to see, but I'm not going to, that's up to him. If he wants to do that, that's great.
Is there anyone you look up to, James, that you see out there now doing that kind of stuff and you go, wow, I'd love to be, like that guy?
Lachlan Morton. I'd love to be as good as him. Neil Belchenko, I mean, he's an incredible rider and he's done a lot and got a good career out of it.
Mm-hmm.
That's all he could really ask for, to be fair.
No, he's not just a rider, is he? He does others. And Alex McCormack?
Yeah.
Great fan of Alex McCormack. I don't know if you...
I mean, he's pretty incredible. And he works a job as well.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he's reducing his hours now, but I mean... He's
chemical engineer.
He's won big stuff, so he's having a shot at it. But I mean, I think...
Justinus.
Yeah, Justinus LeVegas. Yeah.
Yeah, he's incredible. I mean, did Triple Crown and won them all and got the record on one.
And he's funny. He's
a nice guy.
Doesn't take himself seriously, which I think's good.
Yeah, I'd love to be like him.
Yeah. But I think Alex McCormack is somebody that we're both he's a friend and we both look up to him. He's got this incredible aerobic engine and mental strength, but like
he's so nice as well.
Yeah, he's a really nice guy and he's really humble and he's got a steel hardtail that he throws around like it's an enduro bike, which is, I think we're both like the courses where there's like bike handling skill. It's not just like big aerobic engines.
When you mentioned it before, and this is something I experienced myself growing up when I started cycling, and I'd start riding with my dad and we go out training, and there were times where I'd try and hang on to dad, and this is road cycling, so not crazy distances, 50k and things like that. And there came a point where, we're doing efforts and I'd sit on my dad's wheel and try and hang on and get speed. But then there was points where we'd be able to ride together and it'd be great. And then there came a point where dad was riding in my wheel. And then eventually, I was just doing my rides because, I was doing bigger rides. So the turn of the tides, you mentioned it before, Rich, that he's starting to push the limits now. You guys are riding equally. You're riding the same weight. Are the turn of the tides coming, and have you started to feel it from both sides that, it's no longer sort of just dad taking you on the road? It's like we're equal together and maybe I'll pursue on my own soon.
Well, his descending skills are off the charts.
You're dropped.
Yeah, dropped, thanks.
Love it.
But then even, that pure kind of power side of things, when we did that gravel event a few weeks ago.
I reckon my sprinting's a bit faster.
Yeah, young people tend to have that kind of explosive speed, don't they? A bit more. But that when we did that, it was his first kind of middle distance race, which he wanted to have a go at. And the first 2 or 3 hours, I was going, I'm working here. Like I said to him, like, it's a big mass start race. I don't know the route. It could go into technical single. Well, as technical as gravel single track gets, but it could go into a bottleneck. We don't know. I haven't had time to scout out the first like 20k or whatever, which is something I would normally do in an event like that. And I was like, try and get up the front. Not up the front, but try and push. Don't hold back on that start because you don't know what's coming. And it turns out that nothing much came except big, wide, massive climbs. And I was like, right, James, you can take your foot off the pedal a bit, and he just didn't. Like,
yeah, nice.
Bit of a fade in the middle. Yeah, as he realised what he'd done to himself, and then hammering it at the end, which was pretty impressive.
I collapsed at the end from cramp though. Yeah, it sucked getting off my bike.
Yeah, the facade dropped a bit, didn't it?
Yeah.
Well, I guess looking ahead, and what are the big sort of goals you guys want to do together? We haven't really touched on the adventures much in this, but you've done 3 big adventures, and they're slowly stepping up. Arizona being the last one, 800 mile. Well, on the clock it says that, but I think it was a touch over, wasn't it? 900, yeah, with some delays. So what is it? What's on the agenda coming forward? Is it together or is there solo? Like you mentioned your dad's event coming up. That's going to be a solo one, the first solo. But do you want to continue to do together?
Colorado Trail.
Yeah, that's the one. The next one that we want to do together and I think James would absolutely love Colorado Trail. It's just single track heaven. It's incredible.
Arizona was so slow, it's annoying at some points, but I think Colorado would be like the single track would be quite fun because you get a break.
Well, I mean, I loved Arizona in many ways, but it is
Fast it was not.
rough. Right? It's not fast, and it's rough ground, and we must have walked
140 miles.
140 miles of hike a bike, pretty much.
Wow.
And that's
a hell of a lot of hiking.
It really is a long way to walk. I don't like walking the shops. Never mind doing that. So, but Colorado Trail is like single track heaven, and I would love to do that with James. I mean, it doesn't, because he's doing his exams over the next year or two at school. He can't do the mass start next year, but if we can scrape the funds together, we're going to try and go over in the summer, like our summer, and do an ITT. That's the thing we'd love to do. If that works out, I don't know, but that's what we want to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
Could you imagine doing it with anyone else, James?
My mate Edward.
No way. No way.
Don't know how well it would go.
No, I don't know how well that would go. Oh, you'd have a laugh, but I don't know whether you'd get the Durango like.
What are some things that you guys, the similarities you've noticed about each other working together, and you think, oh wow, I'm just like the old man here, or you might even see it, you're like, well, he's a chip off the old block here. Is it things you're noticing out there that you think alike or do things similar that get you through? You work as blood, as a team.
Good food choices, I think.
Yeah.
I think we're quite similar in the food choice, apart from him liking spicy stuff and vinegar on chips.
Yeah, no, we managed to work out a good strategy for eating and what to do with that, which has been really good. I would just say he's a bit like me in that quite happy to leave comfort at home. And I think if you do these kinds of things, that's really important.
You have to be ready to sacrifice comfort.
Yeah, and I don't mind, just lying on the floor and going to sleep, or eating whatever I can, or cleaning dirty water and filtering it to drink it. It just goes over my head, and I know a lot of people go, how can you do it? But James is like perfectly happy to live like a bike tramp like me, so he's got that from me.
Well, apart from living like a tramp and getting that out of it, but what do you guys get? What do you guys get out of it? Really, you think about it, and I can think of a few things. I can imagine what you get out of it, but I'd love to hear from both of you. What do you guys get out of doing this together?
Something to do, isn't it?
Yeah. Something to aim for. I would feel a bit lost about having like a big goal or not being able to, or not doing it. It'd feel weird not having a big aim or wanting to do that.
I think it's also just that like we both just love.
I just couldn't imagine a life without it, to be fair.
Yeah, like having a big adventure and and the adrenaline,
life experience as well.
Yeah, I mean that was what was amazing about Arizona. This isn't just a ride, and it isn't just a physical challenge. It's such an experience. Like, and being there like just before the elections and getting a feel for the country, in a way that you really get when you bike pack through it. It's like you see it warts and all, don't you? And you're in the petrol stations, and you're like sitting in back streets, and all that kind of stuff. And I love that. That's one of my favorite things. It's like you just lay yourself open to soaking in what's around you in a completely different way. If it wasn't a planned holiday, for example, it's just not the same. You don't know what's going to happen next either, and that's great. Like sitting in bars, like wondering like, what the hell we're going to do next, and like listening to conversations with the people next to you and getting into conversations with them, and you just can't plan it. And I love that. I love that unplanned nature. You like that as well, don't you?
All right. Well, I guess lastly, I'd love to hear from both of you too, because as a parent, any parents out there thinking about doing something like this with their kids, what's some advice you can give them, Rich? About going out and doing this, not only about technical advice about doing bikepacking, but just on a holistic sort of view, some advice you can give, parents who want to go out and do, whether it's bikepacking or whether it's this kind of adventure, taking your kids outside their comfort zone, going on big missions, not being afraid to do stuff like that. And then, on the flip side, James, I'd love to hear from you either after or before, any of your mates out there or anyone listening who's a young kid, who might be even afraid of doing this. I'm thinking about doing 100 kilometre bikepacking trip with my son, and we've been geeing it up, talking it up, and getting ready for it. And it's big. He's scared about it. So I think he'd love to hear from you what's some advice you could give too. So I'll put it out there.
Get used to riding your bike. I know it sounds really simple, but that's kind of what I did. 8's quite young, so just start young, and then it'll just feel natural. It'll feel just like the right thing to do, and I won't think about it as much.
Yeah, I don't think he ever felt particularly nervous because he's just been doing. I think starting early is so important, and also I would say a main tip from me, certainly when you're talking about more technical terrain, is like get them into technical terrain from as young as possible. Like
make sure they know they can do it, like they know they can ride the terrain.
Well, I mean, you started riding on rough ground, even on a balance bike, before you even knew what the hell was going on. Do you know what I mean? You had no clue what this was all about because he was so young. And, without going in the sciencey side of it, it's all the development of the synapses and the nerve conduction and the coordination skills that you develop from doing things at such a young age. It's like learning a language. That's the golden, that's the window. And that's when you become like a very natural rider. And I think that's why James has ended up so technically good. So we've taken one thing out of the equation immediately. There's no fear of going down a hill. There's none of that. He's just come out with me. We've just messed around. And I think that's really important. Like,
have fun while doing it.
Yeah, just have fun. Just do stuff that's fun. Like riding out to the shooting huts. There's a little village nearby. We're still even doing it now, even after you've done these big things. Ride up the village. It's like 15 miles away. End of the day, get a pizza, go and sit in the shooting hut, sleep there the night, ride home. It's like, it's just like getting used to doing stuff like that and getting comfortable with it. It's like, I see a lot of adults and they come out and do this stuff and they like startle rabbits. Do you know what I mean? It's like that thing of being out, and it's like, relax, it's all right. Just got your bike, your food, some tools, warm clothes, sleeping kit. That's all you need. Just go out and start small and build it up, I suppose. You wouldn't dive straight into doing something like Colorado or Arizona. I mean, I wouldn't recommend anybody did that. Just build it up. And then fun and adventure and skills again, speaking from a coach's perspective, all of that's the priority. It's not performance. Performance comes later. He's getting to the stage now of like thinking about performance, and that's up to him. If he wants to get into the performance end, that's great. If he wants to just carry on doing what we do, that's great. I don't whatever he wants to do. But I think he does want to get into the performance side.
Well, what did you think of that? A really, really interesting story and a great couple of guys. It'd be great to go out on the road with them. Maybe I can get my son together, Marlow, and we can hook up with them when they come down under. When will that be? I do not know. But look, a really, really interesting story, and I hope you can get behind those two on their next adventure. A big thanks goes out to our major partner, MAP, in Life in the Peloton. Couldn't do it without those guys. And in this episode, shocks, Restrap, of course, and TDU. Get across. Feel the rush. The Dirty Docker is upon us. You heard me talk about that. I would love to see you there. A big thanks also goes out to Red Bricks Media, Will Jones, Eleanor behind this episode, the Life in the Peloton team pushing to get the Dirty Docker happening, and of course, get these podcasts out to you guys. Until next time, guys, I hope you enjoyed that episode, and we will speak to you then. Cheers. That iconic music in this episode was composed by none other than the legend, Pete Shelley. Cheers, mate.